This is Extra Paycheck Podcast, episode number 119.
You're listening to Extra Paycheck Podcast, where you will learn how to build and grow your own successful online business. Now, here's your host, Alex Soul.
Welcome to yet another episode of the Extra Paycheck Podcast. This is episode number 119, and today we will be talking about most common website design mistakes. Now, when I say website, it also means a blog, because that's pretty much what we're doing here. We're setting up technically a WordPress blog, but we call them sites. So I'll be kind of using those both terms in this episode, and don't try to figure out the difference. When I say website or a blog, I mean the same exactly thing. Now, if you've been listening to my other episodes or read my blog posts, I often talk about different strategies on how to improve your website, how to improve your conversion rates, how to improve a lot of different things, but I don't talk about the mistakes as often as I think I should. And this is why I decided to dedicate this episode to mistakes, very common mistakes on websites that a lot of newbies make and that you should avoid making. So let's get right into it. Mistake number one, custom backgrounds. Oh guys, I don't even know where to start. If you are installing some kind of a theme or you're building any kind of a website, regardless if it's WordPress or not, it will most likely come with a white background or very, very light color background without any texture or pictures or images. Keep it that way. Keep it simple. This has been a kind of a trend for the past many years, actually, past 6-7 years at least. Websites have been getting a lot simpler and they look very plain and very easy to look at. And this trend is not dying at all. It's important to have a very, very simple background on your website. Now, yes, there are some really great looking websites with a moving video in the background or images, but leave that to professionals. Or if you want to do that, if you really want some kind of a visual background, just hire a designer, hire someone who knows what they're doing and they'll make it look good. But if you're doing it yourself, chances are you'll mess it up. So just keep it simple. Keep your background color closest to the white as possible. And if it's already white, just don't touch it. The same applies to the font and the color of the font on your website. So that text that you see on your website, leave it as is. Don't change the colors, because when you have a white background, a very, very dark gray or black text looks best and is the easiest to read, and it just doesn't look complicated. It doesn't hurt your eyes. So keep the text the same color as it came in your theme. That's number one. And number two, do not change the font. A lot of you might want some cursive or some funky font or something that looks different, but don't do that. Those fonts, first of all, are hard to read. And it might look really cool to you because it's cursive or it's like really big text of some sort. It will not look as cool to other people who are visiting your website. Another issue with changing your font is that you might set up some custom font that the person on the other end, your website visitor, does not have that font pre-installed in their browser or their computer, and they're not going to see the same font you're seeing, and you have no idea what kind of font they're going to see. So don't mess with that. Leave the font as is, as it came with your theme or with your website builder, whatever you're using. Keep this thing stock just as much as the background. Number three, try to keep your website clutter-free. The more stuff you try to put on your website, the more information you stick in your visitor's face, the higher are the chances that they're simply going to leave your website without even trying to figure out what it's about. It has to be very simple and very minimal, once again, especially your homepage, your blog pages as well, because when someone comes to your website and you have a whole bunch of different links pointing to different resources and you have a whole bunch of different images and banners and this huge never-ending homepage, people simply get overwhelmed. They don't know what it's about, where to click, where to go. They don't know what you want them to do. So keep it to the very, very minimum. Have maybe one picture or one like featured post or a few featured posts, and that's it. For your homepage, I would suggest not having any sidebars at all. Just have a clean page with a few things on it and a call to action, and I'll get to that soon enough. So try to have as little elements on your website as possible, because the more stuff you have, the easier it is for you to scare your visitor away and never had them actually give your website a chance. The next one is clutter in the menu. I know you might want to put every single blog post you have ever written in your top menu, but that doesn't work. People aren't going to click through all of your blog posts through the menu. They simply don't care, and they'll get lost once again. Once they see that clutter, once they click on a button in the menu and another menu pops up with like 27 items in it, they're not going to click on any of them. They'll probably just leave your website. So keep your menu minimal as well. Just put the most important links there. So your homepage, your blog, if it's different, maybe about you or about me, as we call it, the page, a contact form, and maybe one or two more links, but that's it. Try to keep it very, very simple. And if you want to add more items to your menu, do it through the bottom menu. Most WordPress themes allow you to have a top menu and a bottom menu. I think actually all of them allow that. And there you could add more links, more things, more pages and posts and whatever you want to add, but don't do it to the top menu. Once again, keep it clutter-free, keep it looking simple and rather short. Mistake number 5, that's something that I mentioned a little bit earlier, no call to action. So when people come to your website, you should already know what you want them to do. You should have that action in mind that they need to take. So they either need to sign up to your emailing list, or they have to make a purchase, or they have to click through to a link to get somewhere else on another page or maybe on another website, but they need to do something. Simply having someone come to your website, read your article, and then close your website isn't really good. That's not the point of a website, and it certainly is not a point of building a business online. So you need to figure out what your call to action is, or what you want it to be, and you have to put it out there. You have to make it very, very simple. Now, if you go to my blog, extrapaycheckblog.com, you'll see that I have that call to action at the very, very top. There's a little bit of a text and the green button that I want people clicking. That's my main goal. I want them to go to the page that I'm linking to, and I'm making it very, very obvious. Once again, when people come to your website, they don't want to try to figure out what you're doing or what you want them to do or what's next. When you give them that button or that call to action, that thing to do, you tell them click here to get started, or click here to purchase, or go to this site, or go to this page, whatever that is, chances are they'll click on it. They probably wouldn't even read the text or explanation of what it is. They just click on it because they know that your homepage is kind of just a transition page that doesn't have much content, that doesn't tell them what it's really about. So they're looking for that button. They're looking for you to tell them what to do next. And when you have that call to action, sign up to the newsletter or sign up to the giveaway, whatever it is, they'll click on it. As long as you tell them what to do, they aren't going to try to figure that out. They'll leave your website once again, unless you tell them, no, you don't leave the website, you click right here in order to achieve this, whatever that is. So make sure you have a call to action on your homepage and try to incorporate it in your other pages as well. There are many different tools available these days. A lot of them are free, and these tools will allow you to have like a pop-up button that will tell people to sign up for something or buy something or whatever. Or you could have bars that are coming up down on the screen or up on the screen. There are so many ways to customize that. So figure out what your call to action is. Figure out what you want your visitors to do. What's that next step? And make it very obvious. Let them know what is that action you expect from them, and they'll do that very action. Mistake number 6 is using banner ads. That's a big one, and I really am surprised when I still see banner ads in 2017. There are two main issues with them, in my opinion. First of all, people are simply blocking banner ads in their mind. When you see a banner on some kind of a website, or when you see an ad for something on, let's say, YouTube, when you start watching a video and an ad comes up, what do? You close it. When you see a banner ad on a website, do you ever click on them? Chances are you aren't clicking on them. You kind of learn subconsciously to ignore those ads. You don't even look at them because a little glance, 1/10 of a second, and you already know it's an ad. You know that they're trying to sell you something, and you're not going to click on that ad. Why do you think other visitors to your website would click on your banner ads? they won't. They aren't clicking on those ads. Another problem with banner ads is that there are programs like ad blockers, and more people are using ad blockers. And those ad blockers are installed in your browser, and they simply block out all the banner ads. So many of your visitors, they don't even get to see them physically, those banner ads, because they aren't appearing on their computer because they're using an ad block of some sort. And I could tell you I'm using an ad block for most of websites because I don't want to see ads. It's, as I mentioned, 2017. Who cares about ads? Nobody clicks on them. Now, what I have done is I replaced that, as we call it, real estate on our websites. So the sidebar where people often put ads, I don't put banner ads to whatever it is. I don't want clicks there. I put ads for my own resources. I put little banners. Actually, they're simple images with a link that lead people to another page on my own website. So I have one image that takes you to my tools page. I have another image that takes you to my podcast, and so on. Because my main goal is to have people on my website for as long as possible. My main goal is to get more page views out of every visitor. And once they start scrolling through my website and clicking my own ads, let's call them this way, they aren't really ads, they're images. So when they see that image in the sidebar that tells them, hey, check out my most favorite tools that help me run an online business, there is a much higher chance that they'll click on that image instead of a real banner ad, and they'll be taken to another page on my website. Now they'll read through my list of tools, and maybe they'll purchase something, maybe they won't, maybe they'll sign up to my emailing list, maybe they'll bookmark my website and come back later because they see some tools that might interest them, and they'll be like, okay, I'll come back later and buy some of those tools. Another big issue that I see with banner ads, oftentimes people use AdSense. So banner ads that come from Google. Now, when somebody clicks on that ad, they're gone from your website. You just sent a potential customer to another website and you earned maybe 1 penny or 2 pennies out of that. That just doesn't make sense in my mind. I don't get why people would use them unless you're a huge website like entrepreneur.com or Huffington Post, where you have millions and millions of people coming to your website every single day. Then yes, you do make money out of those banner ads. Otherwise, if you have a niche website, if you have an online business of any sort, banner ads are useless. Once again, don't use them and save that space for something else. Preferably link out to your own pages, to your other resources, and let people spend more time on your website and learn more about you and your business. Mistake number 7 is not optimizing images that we upload to our websites. And I'm not talking about alt text and descriptions and titles and so on. I'm talking about the size of the actual image. Now, the bigger your image is, of course, the slower your website will load to your customers. And this means that some people will simply close your website before it even loaded because people are impatient. People are used to websites loading within a few seconds, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. And if your website is taking 5 or 6 seconds because an image that you uploaded is way too big, they're simply going to leave. Now, when people are bouncing off and your website takes too long to load, guess what? Google also pushes you down the rankings because your website is slow and it looks like people are leaving it without even letting it fully load. So that's something you should really pay attention to. I use Photoshop, and when I save image, I save it in such a way that it doesn't take much space, and I try to figure out what's the optimal size, pixel-wise, how many pixels I need that image to be, because I don't want to resize my image within WordPress. I'm uploading pictures of a very specific size in pixels and very specific size in kilobytes, and that's something you should really pay attention to. There are also plugins available for WordPress, free plugins that will allow you to resize all those pictures in bulk, but I would still suggest trying to make the image as small as possible with the highest quality as possible and upload that directly to your website. Now, there are many other resources that you could read online. There's probably hundreds, if not thousands of articles that explain how to resize your images, how to make them proper size for your blog, how to save space, how to make your website load faster, and you should read up on that. If images is something you haven't really thought of and you just upload these huge files to your site, that's something you definitely need to think about, and you need to learn a little bit more about that. One last thing I'd like to mention here is a lot of people aren't testing their websites. What I mean is that when you create your website and you change a few things around and you think it looks really good, it's because you made it for your own computer screen. So it looks good on your computer, it looks good on your browser. But what about other people who are using Chrome or Internet Explorer still, or any other kind of browser, or people who are using different devices? iPhone 5 and iPhone 6 will show you pages very differently. The same applies to every single phone, tablet, computer, and notebook out there. They will all see a page very differently because they have different size screens and so on. So once you're done building a website, you should test how that website looks on different browsers and different devices. Now, there are a few free tools that will make this very simple for you. One of them is called browsershots.org. Another one is called Screenfly. These tools are completely free, so you simply type in your website address and you click the generate button, and these services will load a whole bunch of different previews that will help you see how your website looks on different browsers and different devices and so on. Really, really cool tools, and they'll make it easier for you to figure out if your website works for everyone or not. Now, if you do see any issues, let's say your website doesn't look good on mobile or doesn't look good in Internet Explorer, you should start digging a little bit deeper and maybe find out who created your theme. And they'll usually have a support forum on WordPress, and you could go into that support forum and try to figure out why your website is not loading nicely on, let's say, Firefox, or why it doesn't load properly on iPhone 7 or any other kind of phone. So look around. If it's a known issue, somebody has already talked about it. If it's a not known issue, which would be really, really rare, you could be the one submitting that question and asking them, hey, look, I just tested my website on this phone and it doesn't load properly. It's all broken. What's up? What's going on? And they'll help you out with that. So that's something that you'll have to put in a little bit of effort into, but it's totally worth it because, if you're looking at the stats of your website, you'll see that people are coming from different browsers and different devices, and now there are more and more devices out there. And if it looks really bad to someone and if it looks broken, once again, they'll leave your website and you're losing a potential customer or a potential subscriber or a potential fan to your brand. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have any questions or comments about today's topic, please head over to extrapodcast.com/119. This is where I'll be putting up show notes page, and this is where you could ask me to maybe elaborate on something, or maybe you could share your ideas or your experiences with website design mistakes. Also, head over to extrapodcast.com/iTunes in order to subscribe to the show. If you haven't already, please do leave a rating and a review, which will help the show tremendously. And I'll talk to you next Monday.